Hello, once again, loyal viewers and outstanding subscribers. It's Wild Elf 26 here at Games Wild Elf 26. All right, folks, this is probably going to be the first walk and rant of the new year. All right, guys, as you know, the walk and rants are not about the video. They're about the subject matter. And here we go. Alrighty. Yeah, I'm sure a lot of you had some interesting meets and greets and parties and who knows what. Good food for the holidays, you know. And I'm sure you guys have written down all of your promises for the brand new 2026 year. And a lot of it is fitness. That seems to be what people are obsessed with. They either want to gain more muscle or they want to lose fat or something. So good luck with that for whoever's going for that. For me, that's not so much a problem. I pretty much stay within the ideal weight of my height. So, and I look it up on a medical, on an accredited medical website. But anywho, let's see, what was it? As far as cosplay, the events were pretty good. As far as the seasonal events, there's a lot of interesting extra events which are related to sci-fi conventions and comic book conventions and mega sci-fi conventions and all that. And I saw a lot of interesting events and event footage. There's a lot of YouTubers that pretty much get to go to majority of these things. But it's amazing too, the imagination that some of the cosplayers come up with. They get very clever with some of the things that they make. And in some cases, they could buy it. They could buy it from a store. They could buy it online if they had to. But a lot of the self-made ones come out, for the most part, more detailed. And sometimes just a little bit more accurate to the subject matter that they're cosplaying. But let's shift to retro games. Yes, friends, retro games. The mainstay of your good friend Wild Elf 26, who is a retro gamer first, cosplayer second. And I gotta say, the machines called the Evercade seem like a great idea for preserving retro game culture. And I encourage people to at least, find out, go online, look at the Evercades, the regular consoles that hook up to your television, and the Evercade Portable. Now, my only gripe about the Evercade is the Evercade Portable not having a controller port for the second player, considering the majority of the games that work on the portable are multiplayer games. And when you plug them into the console for the TV, they use some of the multiple controller ports. I believe it has 4 in total. But yeah, I was kind of disappointed that none of the portable Evercades seem to have a controller port for player number 2. And, when you consider that the Master Gear Converter used to allow you to play 2-player Master System games on the Sega Game Gear. Yeah. And there was an adapter piece that you could get from, I think it was Innovation Technologies, that allowed you to plug a 3-button Genesis pad into the Gear 2-player connecting cord when you had the Master Gear Converter plugged in. So basically you got the two-player experience that you could normally get from a Master System on a Game Gear. That's pretty cool. And then, of course, you know, talk about an upgrade. You go to the Sega Genesis Nomad. Yes, the Nomad, which was kind of the American version of the Sega Mega Jet, which that was a little complicated because the Mega Jet had to be plugged into a little monitor on the back of an airline seat in a Japan-specific airline. So when I see people displaying Mega Jets, some with the box, that they spent ridiculous money on, it's kind of puzzling to me because basically it's a contained portable unit, but it has no screen, so you still have to plug it into something. But it has portable batteries, and you know, it's got the same drawback that Game Gear and Nomad has about it goes through batteries so rapidly. But yeah. But I digress. I was talking about the upgrade to Nomad, where it has a second player controller port underneath as a portable. My only gripe about the Nomad, besides the short battery life and the very pasty, flimsy, ghosty screen that it had, I mean, come on, people. The Game Gear screen had more definite, rich color and shadow than the Nomad. And that's pretty bad when you think about it. But my main gripe about it, I would have said only gripe, but apparently I had more than one. So my main gripe about the Nomad is, for some reason, they saw fit to stick the cartridge way up out of the top of it. Yeah. And when you look at all the handheld game systems, Game Boy, Game Boy Color, even the first model Game Boy Advance, all the cartridges are behind the screen. They are flush with the system. On the Game Gear, on even the original DMG Game Boy, you know, you can't see the cartridge jutting out of the portable. So I don't understand what they were thinking with that, other than it was a callback to the Mega Jet, which doesn't even have a screen. So, because the cartridges slightly stick out of the top of the Mega Jet. Maybe it was a reusing of circuit boards. Maybe there was a lot of Mega Jets in production and they just converted them into Nomads or something. I have no idea. I don't know the specifics about that. I'm just making my best guesstimate when it comes to that one. But yeah, overall, in 2025, I think the Evercade has really been a powerhouse, positive force in retro gaming preserving in a new machine, in a new media factor. And, of course, they're cartridges, so it's physical media. And hopefully the flash memory or memory chips that they use in Evercade cartridges are more reliable than the shockingly bad quality cartridges that seem to be associated with Nintendo DS, Nintendo 3DS, and apparently some of the early generation Switch games, from what some are talking about right now. And that's a colossal shock to me. But yeah, can you imagine someone buying some sealed, in the box mint condition game, collector's game, for say the 2DS or even the 3DS, and then finding out because it went 2 years straight without anybody putting it in a machine and playing it, that all the flash memory emptied. It's basically a majority empty cartridge, and the machine will probably say that the game cannot be read as a result. That's horrible. So that's like a collector piece that has no collectability value after a certain time period. That's tragic as far as game collecting goes. So yeah, and Nintendo knew what they were doing. They knew they were getting lower quality flash carts, even though they were charging their loyal fan base to the max for them. So yeah. So that makes me a little iffy about their current machine endeavor. Switch 2, which I heard so much awful about just on the first introduction of that system. You know, the Switch 1, it has its up and downs, and I think the majority of its games are solid. But there were a few games that acted kind of like key cards, where the game wasn't on them. They were just a verification of purchase, more or less, and it would download from their server. So, yeah. And from what I've heard about the Switch Lite, all the time I went looking into all that, the Switch Lite, although it's all connected in one machine, you can't dock it, you can't hook it up to a television like you can the regular Switch. And right there, that was a deal breaker. You know, I mean, the Nomad, which they just kept making the one body style of for the time that they did it, it could hook up to your TV. Player 1 and 2 could play it on the go, or player 1 and 2 could play it when it's hooked up to a television. And I've noticed that there's some Switch games that have two-player when it's docked, but it claims on the box that you're not able to do two-player when it's not docked to the television. That's a shock, because the other controllers hook up to the Switch wirelessly. There's no impediment as to why it wouldn't be able to accept inputs and whatever and display in multiple or split screen, you know. So that's kind of unnerving as far as that goes. But then again, I enjoy same sofa gaming. That is multiplayer with actual people in the room doing multiplayer. I mean, my childhood days were the 1980s, you know, my school years, the 1980s and the 1990s. And then as I came out of the 90s, I was old enough, you know, what you would call leaving adolescence to young adulthood, and into my working years, my first working years. So, yeah, so it's a big step, you know. I think I've been working, gosh, officially, unofficially since 1994. Yeah. And I gotta say, folks, I think it's incredible, you know, the change in gaming since 1994, and the approaches that the companies have changed their approaches to what they think gamers need or think gamers want. It's all quite shocking. But again, folks, you know, it's just me rambling on again.